Well, hello and welcome to the Bumper to Bumper podcast. I'm Dave Riccio, co-creator of Bumper to Bumper Radio and your host of the Bumper to Bumper podcast. I'm joined by my co-host John Riggle. Together with 75 years of combined experience, we're putting you in the know when it comes to your car. Well, John, I was thinking about the 5 biggest ways that you can ruin a great car.
Oh, okay.
So I think that people buy these nice cars and looks really great, and then quickly I see cars that are 60,000 mile jalopies, and I see 150,000 mile cars that are just cream puffs.
Yeah.
So people are doing something to either take care of their car or they're doing something to ruin their car.
Yeah.
And the modern cars are pretty well built. I think if they're taken care of, you can literally. I would say you can take a brand new car and literally do nothing other than change the oil. And by 100,000 miles, if you don't do anything, it might be a roach. I don't know. Challenge me on that.
It depends on where you're going to get your car maintained and fixed.
Right.
So that's one of the angles that I come at from. You can actually over-service cars.
Right.
So we don't want to over-service them, or we don't want to get bad services done to them.
Right.
That aren't done properly, because that deteriorates them quicker than, in a lot of cases, if you just left them alone. We use the example of air filters all the time. Filters are way over-serviced. I find out that because it's been checked every, 3 months, somebody's checking the air filter, and the housing is deteriorated, the clips are broken, the screws are stripped, or they haven't sealed right. So there's a little bit to that too.
Well, I'm actually starting to see that come back into the valley. We had the chains of the quick lube places, right? They were probably bigger in the 90s, but now we've got a new chain kind of moving into town, and it's the 5-minute thing. You're going to pull in, you're not even going to get out of your car, and they're going to do your oil change.
Yeah, 5-minute oil change. That's incredible.
So, that one makes me a little, and I get the convenience of it. I'm going to show up, I'm going to get my oil change and go about my day. But those places are notorious for recommending those air filters and things like that, and some stuff that's over-maintained. But yeah, just consistent good maintenance. The 5,000 mile oil change is plenty.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, make sure you're dealing with a shop that's buying good oil.
Mm-hmm.
There is different grades of oil.
Yeah.
And I think that people fantasize that auto repair is cheaper than it should be.
Yeah.
Than it really is.
Yeah.
And so they think, hey, I'm just going to buy this thing and it's going to work great. And the thing we notice, because we're a general repair shop, but we're also a transmission shop.
Yeah.
So people get to us and they say, oh, my car's been perfect up until now. Well, they are perfect up until the time they break.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, okay, now we're at 100,000 miles, my transmission's out, and I guess I never service a transmission.
Yeah.
And that's one of the deferred maintenances that I see, or that don't happen, and people don't really know what they're supposed to do to that. That's just one of the many items, but you do get people to come to the shop, and you look at the car, and you do an oil change, and you have a couple recommendations, and they're like, nah, don't worry about that. No, I'm going to take care of that later.
Yeah.
Nah. And that would be the deferred maintenance and repair, and so they don't do it, but over time, that just kind of degrades the car.
Yeah.
Some of the other mistakes that you see people making as far as, not getting in the shop, you just have to plan. You got to budget for maintenance and repair on your car. And I think when you do that, then it's not a surprise and it's not a knee-jerk reaction and all that stuff. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
It's going to cost money to take care of this car. And you can fantasize that it doesn't, but it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
You don't have to take your vitamins.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Someday you're like, wish I took those vitamins.
Well, and the thing about the quick oil changes, okay, if you're going after, the oil change is the opportunity to get the car in and have somebody actually walk around the car and look at it. Look at the tires, glance through the wheels, look at the brakes, see what the overall condition of the car is. That is your opportunity. And I think that's what a lot of people expect when they go in to get their oil changed. They're going to have all the fluids are going to be checked, topped off. They're going to check, they're going to check filters, regardless of whether they should be doing it or not. They're going to check filters, and they're going to kind of prep you and say, yeah, okay, the car looks good. You're probably good to go on a trip or whatever, or if you went to the right place, the guy looks up and he's going, well, there's an oil leak starting there. Maybe that's something we address sooner than later, especially on late model cars.
Right.
Unaddressed oil leaks get oil on the wiring harnesses and stuff. And that's
Yes.
my big pet peeve. And when the cars roll in, they're covered with oil, and the wiring harnesses start to
Oh, yeah.
deteriorate. You talk about something that winds up being a big bill now in some of the late model cars. You know, you got to replace a wire harness. We're talking thousands of dollars.
And they manufacture these cars cheaper and cheaper every year. They squeeze every little nickel. So those wiring harnesses have gotten smaller and tighter and tighter and tighter to where
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't take much to. So let's call that number one, ignoring oil leaks. That is something you can do quickly to ruin a car is not taking care of that. Let's talk about oil leaks for a second. Oil leaks, like how soon do I need to deal with them? Because they may call you at the shop, say, hey, we're doing your oil change, everything's great, but we see your valve cover leaking, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to tell you that, and you go, well, shoot, I didn't really see anything on the ground. And that's, anymore you don't necessarily see stuff on the ground because they got all the splash guards, which are covered with foam to absorb some of the road noise. And now they're not seeing oil leaks on the ground. So they're happening. So you may be thinking to yourself, this guy's lying to me. I don't see anything in the driveway.
Yeah.
But there may be a leak going on. So let's just say you got a valve cover leak. Well, you don't have to do anything about it. And you can ask the guy, this is a great question. Yeah. How bad is it leaking? Is it an active leak? Is it a seep? Is it a sweat? What kind of leak is this? And the way we do it here is we rate leaks on a scale of 1 to 5. So just like a hurricane. If it's a 5, it's a big hurricane. If it's a 1, it's like nothing going on.
Yeah.
So to kind of rate it, so you can kind of know and budget for repair and that type of thing, but you do want to take care of the oil leaks. But the smaller the component, I'll give you an example. Transfer cases on these late model front wheel drive SUVs, they hold all of 1 quart.
1 quart. Yep.
So any leak is a big leak. So you can deal with a leak that maybe $300 to $500 to fix.
Yeah.
Right? You can ignore that, and now you're talking about $3,000 to fix in a trip to the shop and probably being down for 3 or 4 days, as opposed to taking taking care of that leak. So now those are oil leaks.
Yeah.
The other leak that is a quick way to ruin the car is coolant leaks.
Yeah.
So how many times do you see these cars come in? They got a little leak here, a little seep there. No one's really addressing it or fixing it. And
well, we have to be careful with the coolant leaks, because what we see here a lot, I see these cold leaks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, car will roll in the afternoon. You pick it up in the air. There's no leak,
leaking.
but you look over at the coolant bottle, and the coolant bottle's 3/4 empty or all the way empty, and you can see the coolant tracks. They'll leave just a trail, and it'll be some dried, crusty stuff that you'll see. And if you pressure test that car right now, it'll hold pressure.
Right.
If you let it sit overnight, it'll leak. Remember the water pump on Mark's Lincoln?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he chased that for a month trying to
figure out what's going on.
sure what was going on, because the thing would intermittently leak. Sometimes it would leak, sometimes it wouldn't. And so that's where you have to kind of be careful with those.
Here's the problem with it. The modern radiators are made of plastic. They got plastic tanks on them, right? So when a cooling system is low, what happens is you got an air pocket at the top of the radiator.
Yeah.
So that air pocket at the top of the radiator forms steam. That steam really kind of crystallizes the plastic. And so the plastic in that radiator will fail. So being just a little bit low on coolant is a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's going to really tax the cooling system. So we've got ignoring leaks, going to cost you some money, not good for the car.
Yeah.
But we were referring to like engine oil leaks or, drivetrain component leaks like differentials or transfer cases. But then coolant leaks, and we live here in the valley. 120 degrees is not something we see it.
Yeah.
So you absolutely want that cooling system at the top.
Yeah.
So cooling system would be a big one. Make sure that thing's full. That would be a big thing that people ignore.
Yeah.
The other thing people ignore, those lights.
Oh, warning lights. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's a common one, because when we interview people, when we're taking customers in, they call up and, okay, so we know we're going to do some diagnostic for them. And we got a questionnaire that we take them through.
Yeah.
And one of the questions is there any warning lights on? And they all, the common response is, oh, yeah, the check engine light's on, but it's a gas cap thing.
Yeah.
That's
an emission problem. We've been ignoring that.
Yeah, we've been ignoring that. And I just write it down, okay, check engine light, To me, when they say it's just a gas cap thing, I mean, I guess it could be. Maybe that's the first time the light turned on, so they had it checked. And they told them, oh, it's related to emissions or the gas cap, something like that. So they just put it on ignore, right?
Right.
Nothing troubling. I don't really want to have to spend money fixing this. I don't really want to have to be without my car, so I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
But now that light does not discriminate between an evaporative code, a misfire, all the other things. So that light comes on for 250 reasons,
Right.
which is I'm probably underestimating how many different reasons that comes on.
Right.
So if you take off your warning system, how are you going to know if there's a problem? Another way people ruin cars.
Yeah. Because they roll in here, and I see the sheet from AutoZone or wherever laying in the front seat, wherever they got the codes pulled, and that's fine. That gave them some information.
Right.
But quite often that was done, 6 months ago or something. I find these pieces of paper on people's cars, but now another problem has crept up. A transmission problem has crept up that they didn't quite pick up on. Maybe it's a
Right.
converter code or something where we've got a little bit of excess of converter slip, which is actually probably doing some damage. It's running
Right.
some temperature up. We're taking, if that converter's slipping, we may be taking some of that converter clutch material and pushing it through the trans and stuff. You don't know because the light was already on.
It was already on. So they
right?
ignored that for 2 months.
It doesn't come on twice.
Doesn't come on twice.
Yeah.
And sometimes we see it. If they would have caught it soon enough, we could have fixed it without a catastrophic repair.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got engine oil leaks, we've
Yeah.
got coolant leaks, and now we're avoiding the check engine light, or we're ignoring the check engine
Yeah.
light. I literally have seen someone put black electrical tape over it.
Oh, yeah.
just so
Yeah.
they-
Oh, yeah.
You
I
know,
see
from-
pictures slid down in the instrument cluster.
Right.
Picture of the wife and the kids.
You can't ignore those lights. They're there for a reason. But I'll tell you what it's like on my phone when I've got a text that I haven't read. I'm like, and I've checked all my texts, but it still says I got one. Drives me nuts.
Oh, yeah.
So I imagine that's why they cover up the check engine light, is that they just don't. I don't even want to know. I don't want about that check engine light. So can't ignore the lights. But let's take a minute on lights and talk about them. So the thing I tell people on those lights is, oh shoot, the check engine light came on.
Yeah.
Well, it's not major panic.
Yeah, it's not panic.
It's not panic.
Yeah.
You do need to get it checked out, but it doesn't have to be this minute.
Yeah.
Okay. But within the next week, I think you can swing by a auto parts store. Those people are checking those things for free just to get a little piece of information. Then you can determine how urgent it might be to get this thing in.
Right.
Or just, if you get the time, just take it to the shop, get it checked out. It's a good thing to go. But so we got yellow lights, which is a check engine light.
That's a warning.
It's a warning. Okay.
Yeah.
So just like a stoplight turns yellow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the red lights. When the red lights come on, there is no ignoring any sort of red light. The red lights that I think about are brake lights, oil pressure lights,
Yeah.
and give me one more. I'm missing something.
Oh, there's now we've got power steering lights.
Okay.
We've got throttle control lights. Okay, some of them will look like people describe them as a lightning bolt,
Right.
or something like that. That's throttle control and stuff like that. So those are things, the electronic throttle control problems with that system will leave you on the side of the road.
Right.
They'll put them into a dead pedal
Shut the-
situation. Yeah, reduced torque or reduced throttle response. And those things you'll get them to where the engine will just idle and it won't do anything more than that. You can step on the pedal till you're blue in the face and it ain't going anywhere.
I think of the Fords with this wrench light that comes on. I think they throw up a little
Yeah,
wrench.
the wrench light is weird.
Yeah, I don't know why they, came to that. But either way, the check engine light is universal. It's a warning. It's not panic mode, but it's, hey, we got to get it checked out.
Yeah.
Anything red, panic mode. Maybe panic's not the right word, but hey, we got to do something about
Yeah.
it. This is not something we can
You
ignore.
got a red battery light or charging system light or something. That's an indication that the car's probably going to leave you on the side of the road if you keep driving.
Well, I will say that, and let's finish with this, is how do people ruin cars? And I would say the cooling system, we refer to that, if it's low, right?
Mhm.
If you drive a car when it's overheating, okay, you're going to ruin it. It's going to get real expensive.
Yeah, continued operation.
Continued operation. So here's the problem that I will warn people is that people say, oh, it never got hot on the gauge.
Yeah.
Okay. Which it may have never got hot on the
may
gauge. It
never have.
doesn't mean that motor's not smoking hot.
Yeah.
So what happens in the modern cooling system, there's a temperature sensor that resides in the coolant. And that sensor, in order to register, has to have coolant,
Yeah.
right? Well, cars overheat because they're low on coolant.
Right.
So that warning system doesn't always work. Half the time it doesn't. So you're driving it, you're like, well, it's still not hot. I'll get there.
Yeah.
But literally, going without coolant or having a ruptured cooling system, you can burn that motor up in a matter of blocks.
Yeah.
So that is a tow-in situation. That is a don't keep driving it, because we get them in here and it's hot. It's summertime. We call them up and say, yeah, you lost let's say you lost a a coolant hose.
Yeah.
So you're out of coolant, but we've also got to get that fixed in order to even test the system to make sure we don't have any exhaust gases in the combustion,
Yeah.
in the cooling system, stuff like that. So you blow a head gasket
Yeah.
or crack a head or whatever may have you, it gets catastrophic quick.
Yeah, and we see the other thing with that too. I see them where the car has an intermittent issue.
Mhm.
So every time they go up north on the weekend, the car tries to overheat on them. They had to pull over, let it cool down for a little bit. And it's been this continued thing that's gone on, but it only does it when they drive up north and stuff.
Right.
Is the only time it actually looks like it's overheating. But there's an issue with that car. And, maybe it's an intermittent engine cooling fan or
Mhm.
something like that. So if you ignore that long enough, those repeated overheats,
Mhm.
really cause damage. It doesn't damage it that day. It didn't overheat so much that it blew steam out of it or anything like that. You might have seen an indication on the gauge or had a coolant temp light come on and then go back off just a couple of minutes later. That's something you need to get checked out.
Yeah, you ignore that long term. It may be a small deal, but ignored, it's going to get real expensive. And so that's the way we want to look at it: is how do I avoid those catastrophic repairs that are going to come to my
Yeah.
car? What am I doing to ruin my car? So taking care of a car is a big deal. It's a huge part of your expense in life. So here at Bumper to Bumper Radio or podcast, we are doing our best to keep you out of expensive repairs.
Yeah.
Where you can just change the oil, take care of it, maintain it, do the things that are necessary. Don't be oversold by, I'll tell you what, I mean, that's the hard part of this business. Consumers don't know who to trust, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so some of these
understandable.
shops can be pretty aggressive in all the things they recommend. And then you got
Yeah.
some shops that are like, if they break, they'll fix it, but they're not going to recommend it because they don't want to be on that side of that. So there's kind of a balance to auto repair. And so just knowing what's normal.
Yeah, and you need to know how to communicate with the shop that you're working with because we have recommendations and requirements.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there's things that we'll recommend. We recommend that you get this done, at some point, not necessarily today, but that's a recommendation. And if somebody comes up and says this is a requirement,
Got to do it.
yeah, I mean, you got a tire with steel showing out of it. That's a requirement. That
Right.
thing's going to come apart. It's going to rip the fender off the car. It's going to cause a lot more damage than just a flat tire. People think they just go flat on the bottom, they pull over the side
Yeah,
of the road
no.
and call AAA and they change it. Nah, man, when they come apart on the freeway, they rip fenders off. They do a lot. I've seen brake hoses off.
Well, we saw this
a lot
the
of damage.
Firestone stuff at the in 2000 when cars were flipping over. It was,
Oh,
it
geez.
was a big deal from blown out tires.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing good happens from a blown out tire. So some things are a must and some things are suggestive. I'll give you an example of suggestive. Someone comes in, you're doing their oil change. You take a peek at the brakes and you say, hey, they're down to 4 millimeters.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't necessarily have to do something today about it.
Yeah.
But either you need to file that in the back of your mind. Hey, next time in for an oil change, I may be getting brakes, or, but you don't have to do anything about it that day.
Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, I'm one of those people that's proactive, let's do the brakes. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the recommended, but that's not a today thing. Don't have to have it.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
if they call you up and say the brakes are down to 2 millimeters, yeah, we're already there.
Yeah,
It's time to get brake pads because it's getting expensive. We're going to chew up rotors and that kind of thing. So thanks for joining us here on the Bumper to Bumper podcast. We will see you next time with some more topics on how to take care of your car. Thank you. Well, hello, I'm Dave Riccio, your host of the Bumper to Bumper podcast. And I would like to thank you for tuning in. If you want one of your car questions to be answered on our podcast, tap the link in the description for a chance to have your question featured. And while you are there, we would love for you to like and subscribe to see more Bumper to Bumper podcasts in the future.